Hello, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Tim Brooks with Worldwide Technology, and we're partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT's CDIQ program, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Mike Meriton, co-founder and COO of the EDM Council, and John Bottega, president of the EDM Council. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Tim.
As the industry moves from sort of fewer standards to now you're providing a standard that has common adoption across multiple industries and across professionals in the industries. In areas of regulation, you mentioned GDPR, Mike, and I live in California. I'm familiar with CCPA. I believe Virginia recently passed a law that's going to provide greater regulation or privacy around data of Virginians. Does this at all serve as a framework that regulators should be considering or using?
No, it's a great question, Tim. The group had a very serious discussion about this, which is how do we properly involve regulators throughout the process? So there's a little bit of a challenge. It's difficult for companies to sit in the same room with regulators to build things because it requires phenomenal internal approvals from compliance to do that. So we figured let's move quickly with the cloud providers, the financial institutions, the tech providers, the consultancy firms to construct the framework. The council's the neutral forum. Our membership includes regulators like the Federal Reserve, the SEC, the Bank of England. And so what we've been doing as the framework has been being built, we've in parallel been doing briefing sessions and getting feedback from the regulators and factoring that back as a factor of input into the framework. In fact, one of the areas that we published first were the 14 key controls for protecting sensitive data. I will share with you, and John knows this, that we lived on this call ourselves together, that we actually had 12 controls for sensitive data, not 14. And as we briefed some of the regulators, we were raised with this, that your controls look like they'll protect cross-border movement of data, but it would be better if you had a dedicated control that managed that and fully audited it and gave transparency to it. That's what we, the regulator, need to see. And that applies across all jurisdictions with individual regulators. The other contribution, that got us up to 13 controls. The 14th control, also coming from the regulatory community, was you would really be well served to have a control that monitors the other controls to make sure they're always on and always documented and always transparent. So if you add that in, that will give us supreme confidence that the cloud is properly protected. And those two additions came from the regulatory community.
Right. So like auditing the auditors there with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Tim, if I could just add one thing,
Sure.
my own experience, I had the privilege of holding the position of Chief Data Officer for the New York Federal Reserve. So I had the opportunity to see both sides, if you will, the public and the private sector. And I was there actually in the heels of the financial crisis. So it was not a boring time in our financial history.
John, thank God for the New York Federal Reserve. I think it bailed us out.
And I can tell you that first of all, I was so impressed with the people I work with, their dedication to doing the right thing, which was fabulous. And what regulators have come up with now is they're anxious to see solutions. So they welcome solutions from the private sector, right? So the opportunity here is not that they're going to, just blankly adopt any standard, but when they see that the private sector is getting together and proposing solutions, they're very amenable to that. They want to hear about it. As Mike said, we had, Mike, 12.5 meetings with different regulators globally, all positive responses. Several of them said, come back for more detail. So this is a great opportunity with public-private partnership to bring those two communities together. And it isn't just finance, right? Because it's any regulatory entity, regulated entity, is going to have to adhere to a set of, guidelines. And that's what CDMC will help, kind of guide the application provider and the consumer in that space.
How many people have either been trained or what you would call contributed to the creation of this framework? How many folks are we talking?
So Tim, in the first few days, we've had thousands of downloads worldwide of the framework because so many companies participated. Obviously, they wanted to see the final product for themselves, but it's gone everywhere. And we were really blessed that the fact that the major cloud companies stood behind it and are actually sitting in joint panels. So Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and IBM are in moderated panels with myself and John, and just openly talking about how they work together to build this. That's unheralded. You never see that. They just don't, they're high competitors. There's billions of dollars in revenue at stake, but for this, they've all worked together, which is awesome. So, and then from a training perspective, we literally had our first open course on the 1st and 2nd of November. We put the first 55 people virtually in. They all got digital certification badges. We expect hundreds and hundreds of people. And as soon as we get the e-learning course, then that makes it highly distributed into the marks. Anyone can take it in any time zone. So ultimately, like DCAM, we expect thousands, if not tens of thousands of people to be trained over time. But like all things, there's a start. And with your help in getting the word out, we're hopeful that more people want to get trained and certified because this is so valuable.
Well, I foresee a large user group event in your futures.
With CDO Magazine.
With CDO Magazine. No, this is
exactly
fabulous. It's fabulous to learn about this. It is I can see the perfect fit, and I think that the clouds have got to be so happy that when you showed up with all of these customers who are competitors working as collaborators to help set standards. So it's helpful for the industry. It's helpful for the data journey that we're all on. And I appreciate your time today. I've been joined today by Mike Meriton and John Bottega of the EDM Council. On behalf of CDO Magazine, thank you both and good luck to both of you.
Thank you very much.